So you walk into a casino, you sit down at the high roller table, and then you lose, and then you lose, and you lose again, and eventually you blow through your kid's entire college fund. You hand over your watch, you're down to the shoes on your feet, and you look up across the felt, and somehow the dealer, a guy named Xi, has built a castle out of all your chips. He's not even playing anymore. He's just sitting there, smiling at you, posing for selfies. So what do? You take a pen and you write him a beautiful note on a casino letterhead. And you ask him, do you still like me? Check yes or no. And yeah, I'm talking about how it looks with Donald Trump right now in China talking to President Xi. And look, yeah, Donald Trump went to Beijing this week and he flew over there with a bunch of tech billionaires, the way a guy in Vegas would walk around with his last 3 friends and a stack of singles. You got Tim Cook, Jensen Huang, Elon Musk. I mean, they've got a combined wealth that exceeds the GDP of most of the countries on the planet. And with all of that firepower, with all of that, what did America get for their trouble? Well, so far, all we've seen come out of this, no Taiwan agreement, no Iran agreement, no trade wins, and the joint statement that has been released basically says, you know what? Iran shouldn't have had nukes. Ships shouldn't have to pay to use the Strait of Hormuz. And that's really it. That's all they've accomplished on paper. The 2 things that every sane country on the planet has already publicly agreed with for 20 plus years. However, if you're China, you may be looking at this differently. First, look at Iran. The Financial Times reporting that Iran's Revolutionary Guard Aerospace Force is using a high-res Chinese reconnaissance satellite to spot their military targets in the region. CNN even reports that Beijing was prepping to ship shoulder-fired anti-air missile systems to Iran using third countries to mask their origin. You know, shoulder-fired anti-air missiles, the kind of toy that, I don't know, you'd use to shoot down a low-flying American aircraft. You know, like that American aircraft that got shot down over Iran a few weeks back. And what's our president's response to all of this? It's to go on TV and say, well, Xi wrote me a beautiful letter saying essentially he's not doing any of that.
Particularly because of Iran, particularly because of Venezuela and what you've done, even your comments on Cuba. How does that change the dynamic of this meeting with President Xi?
I don't think it does. I mean, he's somebody that needs oil. We don't. He's somebody I get along with very well. He just wrote me a beautiful letter.
He wrote you a letter?
Yeah, he did. He responded to a letter that I wrote because I had heard that China is giving weapons to, you're seeing it all over the place, to Iran, that China's
did he
giving
say
weapons.
He's giving them?
Yeah, and I wrote him a letter asking him not to do that. And he wrote me a letter saying that essentially he's not doing that.
That's all Trump had to say. He is pitiful. He's talking about a beautiful letter. The leader of the free world is taking a sworn rival's word for it because he wrote it in pretty cursive. The CIA is somewhere screaming into the void. And by the way, the Financial Times, that same report, they leaked Iranian military invoices showing that China is helping them out. American sanctions are landing on Chinese front companies daily. And yet the taco is still sitting there in the Oval Office holding a piece of stationery up to the light going, he used the best paper. Look at that dotted I. Oh, this is real handwriting, folks. Penmanship, the art of the lose. Then you have China winning big in the global economy. So, while our gas prices are setting fire to our communities, Chinese green tech exports are at all-time historic highs. And if you ask the energy think tank Ember, Chinese solar exports hit 68 gigawatts in a single month. 50 countries set new records for Chinese solar imports. Pakistan, which started importing cheap Chinese panels a few years ago, is now saving an estimated $6 billion this year alone because they don't need that much oil anymore. So the Iran war that's bleeding American treasure is the single greatest sales pitch for Chinese clean energy in human history. China swapping the world to renewables in 50 countries while we're setting our own dollars on fire just so we can remind Tehran that they're not allowed to have their basement chemistry set that we already allegedly took away and took away and took away. But they still might just have one, damn it. And on the third front, China is beating us with all of our allies. We're picking fights with Canada, calling Mark Carney names, threatening tariffs, joking about making Canada the 51st state. Whereas Canada, they flew to Beijing. Carney signed a strategic partnership on energy, agriculture, and trade. China drops their tariffs on Canadian canola seed oil from 84% to 15%. $3 billion in export orders unlocked overnight. Also, China is now letting up to 49,000 of their electric vehicles get shipped into Canada at a 6.1% tariff, a low tariff. So Canadians, they're now buying electric cars from Beijing, not from America. They're eating canola-fed beef sold to Beijing. They're working factory jobs that Beijing is paying for. And Carney's stated goal in all of it is to increase exports to China by 50% by 2030. Meanwhile, they're reducing their dependence on us. Oh, and by the way, yeah, Elon Musk over there, our president dragged Elon to Beijing in a private cabin on Air Force One like he was the prize show pig. Why? Because Elon needs China the way a vampire needs blood. Tesla sold over 600,000 cars to China last year, about a fifth of Tesla's revenue. And what does Elon look like at that state banquet? There's a viral picture going around. I mean, just look at this. Look at this face. My God. That is one of the most powerful men in China, the founder of Xiaomi, Lei Jun. He is a guy whose company is ripping Tesla's market share in half on every continent. And so he leans in for a selfie with his idol, Elon Musk. And Elon, the world's richest man, allegedly the smartest guy in any room, looks like a kid whose mom signed him up for a bath he didn't want. Cheeks puffed out, eyebrows up, glancing at his phone. He's the most insulted billionaire on earth. He flew halfway across the planet to be nothing more than a prop. He went over there for Trump to be able to beg. And the only thing he came home with is 20 million views on Weibo of him looking like a stoned vampire. Meanwhile, we're over here exporting what? Trump Bibles? While China is exporting solar panels, EVs, and shoulder-fired missile systems to our enemies. We're losing friends and allies. China, they're collecting them like Pokemon cards. We're sending our president with a delegation of billionaires to beg. China, all they have to do is deliver beautifully written letters. And by the way, that war, the Iran war that's bleeding us dry, is the war that's feeding China. The House, they always win. And right now, the House has a red star on its lapel, and they're toasting Mark Carney with some fresh maple syrup.